Today, I'm super excited because I'm with Crosby. She is going to help us understand how to better work with curve models. Crosby and I are also going to have a conversation about do's and don'ts.
Very important stuff.
Ready, and go. Goodrich, and welcome back to my YouTube channel that's all about helping you think like a photographer. And today I'm super excited because I'm with the amazing Crosby Pitner, and we're going to talk about how to work with curve models and make sure you do so without being a dick. Tell them what you told me.
Last year, I was working on an e-com job with a bigger client, and this is my first time working with them. As I was getting through wardrobe, my stylist mentioned to me that he'd been in the industry for 35 years, so he'd seen a lot of variety in what's okay and what's not okay in the fashion industry, and he told me that it's really good that we let big girls like you in here now. Which was kind of mind-blowing.
No, zero tolerance. If you don't know how to talk to models, I was gonna say I can't help you, but I actually can. That's kind of what this video is about. Today we're working with the amazing Destiny Taylor, who is a rock star, amazing makeup artist extraordinaire, and general lovely human being. Are you Yeah, your hair looks gorgeous. Good. And then really confident, yeah. I like the idea of like, you're kind of in your zone and somebody calls your name and then you're like, oh, you're a little embarrassed, but then you're like, oh, hi. The frame is now pretty close, so this is more like hugging, kind of in this zone. That's gorgeous. Cheekbones and cut glass. Fabulous. Let's move on. Let's do this one with a cat eye, but like a geometric one, and then like a serious pop. Okay, so whilst they're doing that, let's talk about lighting and all of that. Even though there are cords everywhere and it's a little bit embarrassing, all the light is exactly where it needs to be, and I'm gonna show you. The key light today is a beauty dish, which is an amazing, amazing light modifier because inside of here, there's a little white dish, and so the light hits the dish and then reflects around in a circle. And I have two pieces of diffusion in front that are just continuing to soften that light. By nature, it's a pretty impactful, punchy light. If you don't have this layer of diffusion on, what will happen is you'll get a lot of these specular highlights that really give a lot of texture to the skin. I'm not really a big fan of that, so this is why this diffusion is there. This bad boy is a 6-foot umbrella, and the light is facing into that and then reflecting out, and it's going to create great fill for us so that the shadows that the beauty dish creates is just going to be filled in more, so the contrast is a little less. I like to control my contrast in post, so you try to keep the highlights and the shadows closer together so then you can manipulate them. The last element operating today are these two background lights, and I use strip banks, which are really great because it spreads and creates a nice even wall of light. So these are angled towards the background to illuminate the background. They're also creating a little bit of what's called spill, which is going to be hitting Crosby just a little kiss of a highlight along here, which is super beautiful and I love. But it's also making sure that the background stays white. Otherwise, those lights that are the main source of light would be fading into a little bit of a gray, which is also beautiful. But today we want this to be a little bit hotter, punchier, whiter, brighter, lighter. How many times can I say bright? Okay, and then give me really strong elbows. Good. Yeah. Okay, I am so glad that you're sitting down with me to talk about this because I feel like it's something that is super important in our industry is to talk about curves, how to make that work. Yay!
Yes.
So my first question is, what is the best language? Because there have been, plus size, curves. What's the optimal language for people to use and why is it important?
I personally prefer curve because I think that plus size, it's just such a broad umbrella term, and I think that curve is something that has more of a positive association. Plus size, it's almost a bad word or a bad way to describe somebody's body. Curve is much more something that's acclaimed by the curve community. we like that better for the most part.
Yes,
Yes.
I love it. Just talk about like do's and don'ts.
Do's, especially on set, I think understanding that poses that work for straight size models don't work for curve models. That's not to say that there isn't some common ground, but arching your shoulders inward and like kind of like arching your back out, like that's not flattering.
Right, I'm like thinking like,
not cute.
Yeah, I think we intuitively know, going like this is not going to be optimal.
I think that that's a big one, is understanding that like there's different angles you have to hit, giving the model a little bit more say so in how she wants to angle her body, because there's a lot of photographers that I think are just now diving into working with curve models. It's kind of a new game. Sometimes like the model might know a little bit more, especially for wardrobe stylists. Another thing to remember is baggy and frumpy is not the way to go for curve. Like the whole point of curve is to show off the curves.
I can tell how you feel about it by the fact you're like frumpy.
Yes. I've been on tests where I wear like a bodycon dress and really like have pride for having the curves. And then I've also been on set where, given a super, super oversized sweatshirt, it's not exactly something that you would want to wear on like a daily basis to exude like confidence.
The potato sack look is not hot.
It's not the best, no. And I feel like there's also this kind of stigma that if you're curved, then you must be insecure. Or that like you must feel insecure working with straight size models. And so I think that wardrobe kind of overcompensates for that and does give you like the less hugging, you know, and like tight fitting garments to kind of make you feel not as ostracized compared to everybody else, but you're definitely still a little singled out when everybody else is bikinis and you're in like this one piece that's super high neck. I think wardrobe has a lot to do with like how curve models feel on set and how it like is a comfortable situation to work with them.
I think that's a really good point, is when you're thinking about working with a model in general, they really have a lot of insight into how they look, what feels good on them, what works on them, and it's really selling yourself short to come in and impose an idea. And instead, you can work in a more collaborative way where you're asking them and seeing what they think. As a photographer, you really need to be aware of the angle upon which you're shooting someone. The lower you come, the more you're going to have a tilt up. And because anything that's closer to the frame versus farther away is going to look larger. Any women, you don't want to be lower than their center of gravity. So you'll notice today that I'm sticking to Crosby's center of gravity where my lens is, because if I come too much lower and then I pitch up, then it's gonna make legs look larger and look like she has a tiny head, which sometimes people get kind of fashiony and weird, and it's, you know, people are supposed to look like giants and they're leveraging that lens distortion, but this is about making you look powerful and awesome and amazing. That's just kind of a straight across the board for just about anyone.
It definitely makes you look very unproportionate. You have this little pinhead thing going on.
Yeah. And the other thing is to really think about the representation in your portfolio. It's super easy to just rely on what clients suggest and to have one type of model reflected in your work or one type of friend reflected in your work. And really, imagery is so powerful in helping us get a better understanding of the people that exist in the world, getting us a better understanding of what beauty is and expanding those notions. So if you aren't consciously expanding that in your portfolio and working with people with different body types, working with people of different ethnicities, different gender and sexuality, then you're really narrowing it down to something that's pretty slim. So I would take a hard look at your portfolio and think to yourself, do I need more curve models in my portfolio? Do I need more ethnically diverse people in my portfolio? Really look for where the holes are, because one of the things that I'm really excited about is we are in this day and age that's really about representation. Whereas when I was growing up, you never saw an ethnically ambiguous person anywhere, right? And now it's like such an amazing thing that popular culture, social media, everyone is trying to get behind diversity and really reflecting the range of beauty that exists. It's up to you as a photographer to make it happen in your personal portfolio and contribute to that beautiful range.
I completely agree.
Yes!
Yes.
Yay! Okay, let's make some pictures. Good. Perfect. But like, like give me like editorial, who cares if it's ridiculous, but like, this is fun. This is like a hug. I like this. Take your arms up and you sweep them back, and then you have all of the collar, all of the things, and then you have your waist straight out the New York dress. Good. What if you did like one hand here and then, yeah. That body language is amazing. Yes. Good. Oh. Yeah. Oh, I love that. That's such a brilliant idea. Yes. Just serving all of it. Yep. Thanks so much for watching, and be sure to like, subscribe, and share with anyone that you think should see this, because everybody should.
Understand that the poses that work for a straight size model don't always translate well to a curved model.
Make sure that the wardrobe that you use with curvy models isn't a potato sack that covers up all their fabulous curves.
Ensure that your language isn't shaming curved girls.
Don't be a dick. But if I'm on an apple box, it might be easier to frame us. Let me get my Le Croix, because that's more emblematic. What are some good do's and don'ts? Love to know. We're working with the amazing Destiny Taylor, who is a makeup artist extraordinaire. Yeah. I think that's it, right?